click live. Hopefully, okay. I'm connecting on all services, it says. Okay, hold on.
We are live on Mixer.
It's live on Mixer? See, it doesn't say that it's live on anything so far.
And
it
our
says
lights
live on YouTube.
It is?
Yep.
Yeah, YouTube says online. Mixer says online now. But Mixer says offline now. I don't know if Mixer is working properly. Skype is a piece of shit today.
Nope.
Is anyone watching the Beam stream or no?
Yep, I am.
And
it's live.
It's working. Is it not skipping?
Not skipping so far.
Weird.
Let me mute it.
Let me go to my dashboard on Twitter.
Remember, Restream's not always accurate when it says something's not working right. We had that problem before.
Yeah, I thought that was fixed, but I guess not. Okay, anyway, whatever. It looks like we're live on everything. I can see the chat for all, so let's just do it. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 140, not 40, 140 of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. It is June 29th, 2017, as of this broadcast and recording. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and watching the show live. We are back on all platforms, Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube right now. So if there are technical difficulties, we apologize. But it looks like we are okay right now on all services. But if that changes, I will let you know. Tonight we have a pretty good show. We're going to get to something we missed last week. We're going to talk about the Jim Ryan comments about indie games and how important they are in the industry now. And there's going to be a lot of paraphrasing in that segment, so get ready. We'll talk about the SNES Mini that was announced. We'll talk about the price, the games included. We'll go through all the details. We'll talk about the new Assassin's Creed game, not the one you're expecting, the one you're not expecting, AC Rebellion, which is a Fallout Shelter-like Assassin's Creed game. We'll talk about Xbox One 4K assets not downloading to every single console. It just downloads to the Xbox One X. We'll do weird news, of course, is making a return this week, and we'll do Games of Gold versus PS Plus, and of course, PUBG may be getting crossplay in the future. We'll discuss that and see if you guys think that's a big deal. Okay, so before we get into the show, let's announce or go over the panel here. I'm Inferno217. As always, we have with us making his 140th straight appearance, ZBCI Assassin, but not on cam this week, which is unusual for him, but he's still here. What's going on, bud?
Hi, I'm a sheep today.
So. Hi, sheep.
Hi.
Hi, sheep. Back with us this week, of course, regular panel member, but she's sick. I didn't know she was going to stick with us, but it looks like she is. Taylor, what's going on?
Hello.
Oh, that actually sounded pretty good. It sounded much better than the pre-broadcast. So,
I'll give it about 10 minutes.
And last but not least, we have Italian Clowns. What's going on, bud?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
So Clowns is having some weather issues. He is in Florida, and as you may or may not know, in Florida there are a lot of thunderstorms around this time of year. So maybe a problem with connectivity, but we'll just go and try to make the best of it. Before we start, I just want to give a shout out, of course, to our affiliates that we have. Look in the bottom in our YouTube description. It should be there and should be, properly spelled out at this point. Our affiliates, shop through those links. You don't have to buy what's there. Just go ahead, check those out, and do your regular shopping, and you should be good to go and getting us a nice referral bonus. So thank you to our affiliates who gave us this opportunity. Okay, so we didn't get to it last week, and I know a couple people wanted to talk about this week, so we're going to open this week with kind of an old topic, but we want to give our thoughts on it, and that's Jim Ryan, who plays for the blue team, as you may or may not know, and he talked about how I'm paraphrasing a ton here, but essentially talked about how indie games are not important anymore, not as important anymore. They were important 3.5 years ago. but they're not so important anymore, and that's why Sony in their conference didn't really, talk as much about indies as Xbox did in their conference. So, essentially, to me, that means that Sony is saying thanks a lot, but we're done with you, indie developers. We've used you to bridge, to make a gap between us and Xbox. We wanted to seem like the friendly guys, but now it's not so much a focus. I don't know how you guys took it. Did you guys kind of take it the same way, or what did you guys think?
All I know is if I was an indie developer putting my game just on PS4, I would have pulled out. Because apparently my game, if I was a dev, isn't important enough to be on their system.
Now let me ask you, do you think that there are indie games that are still in development that are only on PlayStation 4? Because recently there haven't been a lot of those. Like there's Pyre from Supergiant Games. We've talked about that before, the creators of Bastion, Transistor, and so that's a big indie that's only coming to PlayStation 4 on consoles. But do you think there are as many as there used to be, or do you think Xbox is kind of bridged that gap and kind of closed it? Because you say that if you were an indie developer that was only putting it on PlayStation 4, you'd pull out, but how many of those are there really anymore? What do you think?
You're buying a lot for me. I mean, it's just me, but
it's just you.
Yeah, for fuck's sakes. I understood what you said.
Okay, go ahead.
But I feel like there's going to be some. I mean, there's always going to be that developer, like the one that made Heavy Rain or whatever, that doesn't like Xbox and loves PlayStation so much that they probably sleep with a PlayStation pillow at night, and they'll probably put it on there. But I feel like most devs, especially with the Xbox One X, it's probably a lot easier to make games for the Xbox, so why not put it on the Xbox platform?
All right, good points. Taylor or clowns on this topic, on Jim Ryan's comments about indie games?
I think it's just stupid. Like, there are a ton of indie games for every platform. And then to call out your platform and say anyone who makes indie games for your platform isn't really important anymore, it's kind of bull.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a slap in the face, because I'll tell you, a couple of years ago when I went to PAX, people told me it totally changed. By the way, this year at PAX, like 2 years ago at PAX, everything was shown on PlayStations. Pretty much everything was shown on PlayStations. This year, there was a lot more Xbox One stuff, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And maybe Sony isn't quite extending that arm of friendliness to the indie devs anymore, and maybe this is Jim Ryan kind of like confirming that, because like you said, Taylor, like it was a big deal back in the day, and now you're singling out your platform as being almost too good now, or having things that are too good for them to focus on the smaller guys. Like, that's a big slap in the face, because the smaller guys are really the ones that kind of made PlayStation 4 separate so far from Xbox in terms of unique games at the beginning. So
I think there's a couple of mixed messages here, because number one, we know that IGN and the fake news media love indie games, right? I mean, we've seen them give indie games left and right, like praise all the time, and now their forefather, Sony Corporation, is saying, no, indies aren't relevant anymore, guys. I mean, that's so 2013, 2014. Get off that train. I mean, what's the media going to think about that? And then the other thing is, yeah, we've seen Xbox pick up a lot of indies. At this point, though, Xbox doesn't really have a choice because they don't have a lot of exclusives. So Sony's getting all the exclusives, kicking the indies in the ass, and they're going to go to Xbox.
Yeah, and we saw that, and you're right, we saw that from the presser. They had a ton of indies that they were showing as exclusive stuff, and rightfully so. They're proud of the indie program now. We've heard Chris Charles say multiple times, 1,000 games now in the ID at Xbox program. That's a big deal, and they're proud of that. They're not slowing down on that. The ID at Xbox program, I think, is stronger than ever, and so they're proud of it. And like you said, clowns, they're going over the green team because now they feel like they're more wanted over there. And I think Xbox is actually doing more to promote their stuff than Sony ever did, to be honest. Because I've had a PlayStation 4 for a long time. I never feel that the small indies were ever promoted on Sony's platform, ever. You know, their dashboard, if you have a PlayStation 4, you know what I'm talking about. Their dash doesn't really promote, focus on promoting stuff other than, your XMB kind of bar of games and titles that you've already played. You have to actually go into the store. You have to go to a certain section of the store to really see, everything that's being featured. And I mean, that hurts sales. I think Microsoft's just improved the way that they've promoted these guys significantly. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is that even though Sony's taken a step back from these indies, Steam certainly isn't, and neither is Nintendo. So it's to be seen if this is going to benefit Sony in the long run, and how long can they hold exclusives for.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I mean, I feel like for some reason, like Taylor kind of said, indies are big on all platforms, and like you kind of elaborated on, they're big on everything else, and Switch is not. Slowing down. They're bringing the indies to their platform. We saw, Ocean Horns coming over, played a little bit of that. We're going to have a review of that. Snake Pass, one of the best indies this year, of course. Shovel Knight has exclusive content, or launch exclusive content they had. So, yeah, the other guys aren't slowing down, and only Sony is. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Sasson, I saw your message saying everything's botting. Can you understand at all what we're saying?
I heard Assassin, bot, understand. So, hi.
Assassin loves Jim Ryan.
No.
Okay, it's working.
I heard. It's fine. Taylor, it's sort of fine. And then in front, I was just like, crap.
Interesting. Is that what it is? What is it like for you guys, Clowns or Taylor?
It's clear.
No, you're fine.
Oh, Assassin.
I don't know what else to do besides smash my computer in pieces. It's old as shit.
I mean, you could watch.
Farm?
You could watch on your phone on Mixer and see if the latency is good, so that you can understand what a friend was saying, and then respond like 2 milliseconds later.
Yeah, but then if I hit mute on my Skype, it takes forever to mute. So I'll just pretend that I'm listening.
All right. Well, I'll try to slow down what I'm saying for you.
You're going to slow bot
podcast then.
I'm kidding. Assassin, you're going to have to take a back seat in this one, bud. Sorry. He has no idea what I'm saying. All right. Anyway.
I heard you.
Oh, okay. Okay, really quick in the YouTube chat, the Dude79 makes a good comment. He goes, I think E3 is a hard spot to stick a 20 to 30 second sizzle reel of indies where no one can figure out what the hell was just shown. That doesn't do much for indies devs, honestly. Number one, do you guys agree with that? And number two, do you think that because Microsoft showed them off longer that they wasted time because they showed fewer potential games, or do you think that was a good way to do it? What do you guys think?
I think Sony wanted to come out like a wrecking ball. I think Sony wanted to come out with exclusives instead of indies this time around. I don't think they're going to really promote indies as much at PSX either. They knew that Xbox and Nintendo were going to have more focus on indies, so why should they? Mm-hmm. Why should they care?
Mm-hmm. Taylor, what do you think? 20 to 30 second sizzle reel, not a good idea?
Not really, but they didn't really have anything else to show, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, but I mean, like, Sony played it safe this year. They didn't want to show too much. They didn't want to do what Microsoft did and show some games that potentially weren't going to be received well. Like Code Vein, for instance. I know a lot of people liked Code Vein, but a lot of people shat on it, and PlayStation didn't want something like that in their lineup. They wanted a safe lineup, and then go figure, they got punished for it when last year almost the same exact lineup was universally praised. So pretty weird, but dude. 79 also follows up. He says, I highly doubt Sony is abandoning indies, though. Every week there are tons of indie games on their weekly drop. Yeah, but they don't. The problem is that they don't promote it the same way. And that's what Jim Ryan's kind of getting to, I think. I think the problem is that maybe they're not abandoning it. Like, they have it on their platform. The problem is that they don't put it forefront anymore. It's not like a point of differentiation anymore. They just have them on there because they can have more games. They don't have them on there because they actually promote them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm about to drop a clownsism here. It's like Sony walks into like a AAA studio with exclusives and drops money everywhere like it's a rap video. They walk into the indie studio and bring like half-eaten pizza. Say, here guys, here's your chunk.
Jesus, dude. That is a clownsism. I see that Assassin is having no audio problems anymore.
Yeah, I turned on my webcam, somehow it worked. I turned it back on before. Audio issues, so maybe it's the webcam. As stupid as that sounds.
Yeah, because the webcam wasn't even on for us, so.
Yeah, it was on for me, and there was audio issues, and I turned it off, none. Turn it on, some. So, I don't know. Maybe Skype's just being retarded and can't comprehend things today.
Maybe. So Assassin, real quick, since you're back, 20 to 30 second sizzle reel. Bad idea or okay, or what do you think on that?
I feel like they should do something to promote them. Even if they don't do something on their main stage, do something like an event at their like PSX or something, where they show stuff or and going back to E3, their conference is like what 50 minutes. Xbox is usually 90 minutes. They have time to show some games. I don't know what their deal is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I think, and the dude is mentioned, and the dude middle-aged gamer. I have a couple of things in the YouTube chat that I want to get to that kind of relate to this, but yeah, I agree with you, Assassin. Like, they have 90 minutes. They played it so safe this time. I think they could have focused on a few indies that they have that are unique to them and thrown in some variety. That's what they're getting knocked for, really, is like lack of variety. And then you have Jim Ryan come out and say this. It almost just cements what people were starting to think, is that they don't focus as much on indies as they used to. Because before, back in the day, we know this, that indies were just like crushing it on PlayStation. That they had all the indies. They had, even today with one of our favorite indie dev teams, Zoink Games, all of their games came out on PlayStation first and by a wide margin, right? Stick It to the Man, Zombie Vikings, both on PlayStation way before. And that used to be a lot of games. That was a ton of games. Outlast 1, for people that remember that. That game was on PlayStation way before.
Yep.
And free. Wasn't it free at the beginning, or?
Yep, the launch month of it, the game was free.
Right, so people are saying, so the dude on the YouTube chat says, outside of E3, how else would they promote it? They showed it on Twitter, which middle-aged gamer said as well. They have it on YouTube and Twitter and stuff. They show them on the drop, in the store. What would we suggest they do? What I would suggest they do is stick to what they used to do. Get the exclusive games, promote them, on their store. You say they show them in the store, but I mean, unless Jim Ryan is just a big liar. They don't really. I don't think they really show them in the store as well as Xbox, and that has to do with user interface too. It's not just the store. It's the user interface, and Xbox just has more availability to show off games like that. But if I could just go really quick on YouTube and I go to PlayStation's. This may lag the stream, but whatever. If I go to PlayStation's channel and I go to one of their indie games that they have a video for, right? Because somebody said they show them on YouTube, right? Compared to their other games, those are in like the 20,000 view range. Like he has one from a week ago, 26,000 views. Here's one from a week ago, official trailer, 14,000 views. Okay? And then you have Uncharted 4 videos from a week ago about DLC for Uncharted 4, 100,000 views. So, having it on YouTube is different than having it side by side in the store. Don't you guys agree with that, or?
Oh, yeah, because not many people go on YouTube. Some people will go, Clowns Eye will go on, the Xbox store and, take a look around, it's simple. You hit new game right there on the PlayStation. You have to go through like 60,000 options. From what I've heard from someone who just wanted to look at PS2 on PS4, they had to go through like 20 different like tabs just to get there, and then scroll all the way at the end.
Mhm.
So I mean, they need some management type things over there. Get the video out of the store, have a separate one. Same thing with music, or just have video and music in one section, and then just have all games. New games, all games. First party games, HDR games, 4K games. Give them options.
Yeah, and maybe we're like, I will admit that maybe just from like the user interface point, that's more of a problem than what Jim Ryan said. But then Jim Ryan says this, and you say that he needs prepared statements, and you know what, that's true. But at the same time, this is a guy that's pretty important at Sony. So I mean, he knows what the mindset is amongst everyone at Sony. So for him to say this, it like backs up what we think about the user interface, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like just us not liking the user interface compared to Xbox. Yeah, we're mostly Xbox people, but I mean, PlayStation is better at a lot of things, and I will admit that freely because I have a PlayStation. I play it all the time. But I mean, for us to not like the user interface and the way that it presents indies, and then him to say this, it kind of like makes you think that you're right about how you feel about this thing.
Well, if he's going to say something like this, you'd think that he would get someone to work on it, or email someone that could work on it to do something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Any more on this from anyone before we move on? We're already at like 20 minutes on this, so.
I'm good.
Taylor's like, I am so sick. Just move on.
Pretty much.
All right. Something on, we just touched on blue team. Let's go to red team. Where is it? There it is. So Super Nintendo Classic Edition, also known as the Super Nintendo Mini, has been announced. It's coming on September 29th, 2017. Comes with 21 games, so fewer than the NES Classic, but it's also more expensive at $80, but it comes with 2 controllers.
2 controllers.
Whoa.
Dos
2 controllers?
Controllers.
Sign me up.
I don't know how to say it in Spanish. If anyone knows how to say it in Spanish, please post it in the chat. But yes, 2 controllers.
You have the internet at your fingertips.
Oh my god, you're so right. I'm such a dweeb. Let me type that in while
I'm typing it in right now.
Oh, are you okay? So people in the chat.
That.
Huh?
I put it in the chat.
Did you? I didn't see it yet. This app kind of lags with that because I'm looking at all the chats on the same app. Controlador. Dos, Assassin, say it with me. Dos controladores.
No speaky Espanol.
Wow, that's so insensitive to our Spanish viewers. And Hispanic viewers, wow. Anyway, so yeah. That's the deal with the SNES Classic. And before we get people's thoughts on this, just want to present also the 3 different versions. So in the USA, you just saw it in the opening slide. It looks like this, just like how we got the Super Nintendo back in the day, but smaller, of course. UK, Europe, Australia, you're getting something that looks more like the Super Famicom with the colored buttons, different packaging completely, different kind of casing. And in Japan, you're getting the true Super Famicom illustrated box, and comes with a few unique games that I don't know at the moment, and I didn't recognize when I saw them, so I'm not even going to pretend I know about them.
What about Asia?
Yeah, no, they're getting the Japanese one, I think.
So China too, and all those.
Yeah. I think they're getting the Japanese one. I'm not sure if China's getting it, to be honest. I didn't see that on the list. I looked for that, and I didn't see China on any list. But yeah, they were talking about other Asian regions getting the same one as the Japanese one. So, all right. So what do you guys think?
Does Nintendo hate the US because the US got the ugly version?
I like that version. What are you talking about?
Oh, colors are a lot better.
Taylor,
That's like the classic
gray.
Wait, Assassin.
Yeah.
You want the colored controller with the lighter gray controller and the all separate color buttons like Xbox kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Just pop it open and change all the buttons.
No.
There you go.
Requires work.
There you go.
In like 5 seconds.
Paint it.
Yeah,
You'll-
It requires more money for paint.
Just go in your mother's room, grab some
get nail polish.
yeah, and paint those
Fuck
motherfuckers.
that. I'm not some person who uses
Assassin,
background.
you're getting the hate.
You want it colored, you paint it yourself.
There you go.
Or Nintendo could stop being greedy bastards and just give everyone the same fucking version.
Well, dude, they're regioning it so that the people in those regions get what they got. However, I agree with you on this that it doesn't make sense that they're region locked. Why can't I just buy a UK one if I want? You know what I mean? I mean, the days of PAL and NTSC are largely like sometimes you can swap that. I mean, I understand TVs are still region locked, but you can't just swap that Nintendo for us. You can't just help us out, help a brother out. So Taylor, you were starting to say which one do you like best?
Oh, I was saying that's the classic version. So of course they're gonna give that one to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we remember.
Clowns, you like the US one?
Yeah, I mean the U.S. one is my favorite. I still like the others, but the U.S. one I think because I grew up with it, it's my favorite. Plus, I mean, I think maybe people in the U.S. have bigger hands, and that's why the reset and the other buttons are bigger.
There you go. What a shame though that eject button and that cartridge slot are completely non-operational. Because that eject button, I remember that was a memory of mine. Pushing that middle button, have the cartridge like jump in its slot. You know what I mean? That was a memory. But like we said, 21 games built in. So did you guys get a chance to look at the games? What do you guys think? The offerings?
Pretty good. I think it's a solid lineup for Nintendo. I think this is why they held off on Virtual Console for the Switch.
Interesting. Yeah, get some more money out of people to buy an SNES Classic instead of just buying the games for $5 or $10 a piece or something on the VC. Potentially, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Sass and Taylor, what do you guys think? SNES Classic?
For 21 games, it's a little overpriced, but the only good games are the Mario games. Everything else is meh. So be triggered, everyone, because they're meh.
How dare you? There's a Zelda game on there?
Yeah,
Yep.
but I could just,
And
grab
don't
my Game Boy Color.
Are you kidding me?
I already have that. I
Assassin.
don't need to buy an $80 console.
Assassin grew up with like the Wii, and he was the last. He was the
Wii,
last.
Excuse me, N64. And
He was
Game
the
Boy.
last millennial for the N64. Like he got it when it was on its last legs, and nothing was coming out. So he missed the whole Super NES generation.
Xbot is trashing you in the YouTube chat. He says, "Shut up, Assassin. Keep your blaspheming mouth shut." He didn't say that. That was me. I'm paraphrasing. But
What do you expect? Assassin hates Halo. He hates Zelda. He hates Mega Man.
Excuse me.
What do you expect?
Assassin hates everything.
He just loves Cortana.
No.
That's it.
If I hate everything, I would not have 140,000 gamer score. on
Assassin
Xbox.
once said, I
You
wouldn't
hate
play
everything
Halo.
that people like.
if it wasn't for Cortana. She's the only reason why I play Halo.
No.
wow, our buddy Ross Miller's in the YouTube chat saying, "Boo, Assassin. Boo, no nostalgia."
Well, then buy one for me, guys, and I'll fucking sort of stream it.
He was just about to say shit on it.
No, I was gonna say stream it, but I realized my computer can't even fucking stream like me flipping a coin or something.
Yeah, probably not, since you can't even get the webcam on for our Skype chat right now.
Yeah, I know. Well, it would be nice if Skype would connect. It's still connecting.
Oh, is it still connecting to the call?
Yeah.
The dude 79 in YouTube chat says, Assassin, you saying everything else is meh, that means you're being a professional shit stirrer right now. You're just being very, very negative on this whole thing.
No. There's a bunch of Mario games, so, I mean, everything else is meh.
How can you say Donkey Kong Country is meh?
Yeah,
I
listen
know.
to this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't know gaming. He doesn't really.
I had a different version of Donkey Kong Country. That was good. Never played the original.
I think that was the worst rated one out of all the Nintendo fans. They still liked it, but they hated it at the same time.
The original is very good. I think the original still holds up. Actually, I actually there's this guy on Twitch that I infrequently watch, but sometimes at 1 a.m. I'm just kind of roaming on Twitch a little bit, and I see this guy streaming. He was streaming Donkey Kong Country in order, so he's doing Country 1, 2, 3. And the first one still holds up pretty well. I think all of these games, or most, I should say, of the games that are in this hold up extremely well. And I think that this offering, and you guys agree with me or disagree, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I think this offering is way better than the NES Classic offering. Like, infinitely better, actually.
Yeah.
And not just because the games are later, it's just because they're just better games. Like Super Mario World, classic. F-Zero, classic. Zelda Link to the Past, arguably the best Zelda game of all time. Street Fighter 2, the fighter that started it all for a lot of people. Super Punch-Out, whatever. Maybe not the best Punch-Out, but it was a good one. Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart. Like, this is a lineup that is, Star Fox. We didn't even mention that Star Fox 2 is on here, which is an unreleased game, previously unreleased. You can get ROMs of this online, but, Nintendo is now officially releasing it I'm sorry, I saw a comment in the YouTube chat that totally took me off my track here. My sister says your head looks bigger here than in real life. Yeah, because I'm close to the screen. Yes, I'm close to the screen.
Use the Skype function that just zooms in.
Skype, yeah. Get on my go right on my forehead like I did for Assassin.
That's so funny.
No, but are you guys into Star Fox 2? Because that, like I was saying, that was previously unreleased, and now it's finally coming out for everyone to enjoy, and it was completed. So it's one of those games that was actually fully completed and just never came out for SNES, and now it's finally gonna come out. Is that something you guys are into, or what do you guys feel about that?
No.
Assassin, you are such a negative Nancy, dude.
I feel like that's the reason, that game right there is the reason why it's $80 fucking bucks.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
Oh,
I think the price is
Wait, what game? What did I miss? I was busy typing
Star
about
Fox 2 or something.
The unreleased game?
Yeah. That one.
Well, I mean, you'd figure you'd pay probably, $60 when it came out. So, it's not that bad, right?
I feel like... Dude, it was probably more than 60. Remember when game cartridge games were so expensive? I remember not to date myself, but I remember on the NES paying like $70 for for Mega Man.
No,
yes,
dude.
Yes, dude.
No,
yes.
Toys R Us was only $59.99. Some games are $49.99.
Dude, I'm gonna have to find a few after the show, but I remember
Urban Champion $49.99 at Toys R Us on release day.
Dude, the original Street Fighter 2 on
that was $79.99
on Genesis. That was like $80, dude. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah. That one's $79.99, but that was because it was Street Fighter. It was almost like an arcade port.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, yeah, some games will wait. I mean, it's not like back in the day. It wasn't so much like every game was 80 or every game was 70. Like some games were priced according to how bad they were and whatever. But a lot of the big games were very expensive.
Like, for me, Super Mario Kart and Super Mario World were $59.99.
Right. So yeah, I mean, for the amount of games and for how good they are, I guess $80 is a good value. But $80, man. If this was 60, I would almost say it's a no-brainer. But for 80, I tend to agree with Assassin that the reason it's this price is because of Star Fox 2. Like they have that tagline. It's like SNES Classic now now announced or whatever, and everyone's like, oh yeah, well I kind of expected that, and rabble, because they knew it was coming after the success of the NES Classic. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, Star Fox 2 is on there, and everyone's like, what? That never came out. That never came out. And then they're like $80. They're like $80. Yes, I'm still. I'm gonna get this still.
Because it's Nintendo. If they put a shit in a box and labeled with the giant N or something, it would sell for like $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Yeah, no, Assassin. I don't know what reality world you live in.
People bought. I mean, look at Inferno's brother. He bought bullshit or whatever. It was literally shit, and he bought it.
Yes.
So if Nintendo put shit in a box and labeled it, Nintendo shit.
I need to.
People would buy that.
I need to verify that Assassin's correct. My brother did buy shit in a box.
Wasn't it bullshit in a box?
It was bullshit. Yep, it was bullshit in a box. He did buy that. So there are suckers out there. I agree with you, Assassin. Is everyone who buys the SNES a sucker, or is like I haven't got a gauge from you guys. You think $80? Clowns, you said yes, but is $80 you think fair value for this, or are people buying this suckers?
They're suckers.
Jesus.
Assassin thinks everyone's a sucker, so there's that.
Well, why should you be paying $80 for games that are old as shit? I'm sorry.
Because you're getting the system to play the games.
You're getting like emulators on the PC that are free. So why pay $80 for something that you hook up to your TV, or you can just hook up your computer to the TV and play the same games, but for $0.
That's less than $5 a game, right? Less than $5 a game, and that's less than what Sega charges for their games on Steam.
Again,
that's an interesting point.
Yeah,
but emulators, and we want to just say really quick, the 4GwQPodcast does not encourage the illegal use of emulators because Assassin is ignorant right now and just suggested that. Emulators are for the large part illegal, so we can't advise that. So just forget what Assassin just said.
Go to your friend's
just
house
ignore Assassin.
that has these games and plug it into your TV.
Okay, all right, okay.
You have 4K TV or upscale it to 4K. There you go. You got your 4K.
I love how people in the chat are like all about this, like Xbox, like Zelda, Mario, F-Zero, Metroid, control is worth the money. And then there's people talking about like how amazing this is coming out, and people are like, when is the N64 coming out? If there was a next year, exactly. L Boogie, a big fan of the show, says I would get a Dreamcast Mini just for Soul Calibur. People are talking about like other consoles they want. Jay Street says another big fan of the show need an official Sega Genesis one. So everyone in the chat's like eating up this old console stuff, like this retro release mini console loaded with a ton of games. They're eating it up when the official companies do it, but third parties have been doing the Genesis ones forever. I mean, there's got to be like 10 Genesis ones out there, and no one buys those. Same thing with Atari.
Well, the new game's coming out, the new one, you can actually put real Genesis cartridges into.
Yeah, that's actually really sick. That's really, really cool. I feel like those never took off. Now that Nintendo's doing it, they've done it 2 years in a row. Everyone all of a sudden wants one, and it's
Nintendo's name is on the box.
No.
Like I said, they put shit in there and they'll just sell it to you, and people will buy it.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you a little bit, Assassin. I agree with you. I'm not gonna trash that point. But I mean, even for the other stuff, like people in the chat saying they want like this console and that console and this console, and they just want the old ones for all this stuff, and it's like, where did this nostalgia come from, people? Like, if these companies knew that you'd pay $80 for a Dreamcast Mini, Sega would be out of bankruptcy. Like, like Sega's hardware division would be resurrected instantly. Like, if they got enough market data to suggest that they would get like 10 million sales of a $80 Dreamcast Mini, it would happen like tomorrow.
Well, look at Atari coming back with their own console.
Right, there you go. Yeah, Atari's back with another console. Yeah.
So, I mean, it works to an effect to what Assassin's saying. And, yeah, people are going to pay the price for this because it does have the Nintendo logo and it's officially licensed by Nintendo. It's not like one of those silver knockoff on-licensed Nintendo versions. But at the same time, you think about this, you're paying for an official version, $80 plus an on-release game, plus 2 controllers, plus HDMI output, when even if you were to go Assassin's route, and you were to find somebody, let's say, in the jungles of Brazil that made you a Raspberry Pi knockoff, right? They would charge you like $79 for this.
Right.
But what's stopping Nintendo to come back and making another system just like this, but with another 21 games, making you buy the same exact console again?
Yeah.
Welcome to Nintendo.
And people won't give them hate. But, if Xbox made, an Xbox Mini and then they came out with Mini 2.0, and, people would shit so far down their throat,
Wow, but see, I hate to say it, though, that's an irrelevant argument because Nintendo's been around since playing cards. I mean, Nintendo's like one of the oldest gaming companies there is today. They started out with gaming cards in Japan, and they managed to stay alive and afloat because they're smart with their IPs. You can't hate them for being smart.
Nintendo is like one of the only companies that can get away with this because they have so much nostalgic value behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for them, video games would have been dead. They saved video games.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's really it because, like, I don't know how much nostalgic value there is around the Dreamcast. And Boogie, I'm not hating on you because I love the Dreamcast, one of my favorite systems of all time. But, and I don't know how far Nintendo can even go with this, honestly. Like, I think I think Nintendo 64 Classic may be the final place they can go with this.
Yeah,
for nostalgia.
They can't there's no way to do a GameCube. And I say that because if they were to emulate the GameCube games, if you were to ever try to understand how to emulate GameCube games, you'd understand that they're over 1 gigabyte in size each. So for Nintendo to try something like that, they're going to need, a pretty sizable internal drive.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, they would have to charge maybe like $100 for that. And then
maybe
even more.
Maybe even more, yeah, because even if you put a flash drive in there, it'd have to be fast enough so that the games wouldn't slow down on read-write speed.
Right. So, I think this nostalgia trip is kind of ending. I think Nintendo is capitalizing as they should. And Clowns, I think the point you made at the beginning of the episode was actually a really good one, that maybe they're holding off on the Virtual Console to get more sales of this. So the thing that sucks is this doesn't come out until September 29th worldwide. So does that mean Virtual Console on the Switch is going to be delayed past that, maybe like a month past that? That would kind of suck.
Let's hope. Let's hope that they at least put out some Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and NES games. I would hope. Let's hope they don't do this with Game Boy Advance and Game Boy as well.
Right. Yeah, like a partial rollout. Yeah, they could do that. And get away with it. But yet again, people are saying in the YouTube chat, where are the pre-orders for this? Pre-orders went up and they're already down. Like, so some people have taken pre-orders in the US. I don't know if that's true, but in Europe, pre-orders were up for like 10 milliseconds. I wish I were lying, but it's crazy.
And the other thing about too is that, one of Assassin's points was that, Nintendo would never get backlash, and that's kind of false, because from the underground gaming community, if you look at like GBA Tab, Hack and Form, and Wooloo, they all showed videos on how to modify the NES Classic and add like hundreds of games to that. So to say that there was no backlash on Nintendo's behalf is completely false. There is a whole underground that did backlash.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing about that though is that I think Assassin has a little bit of cred about is that, like, the underground is not going to buy this at all anyway, and if they do, they're just going to hack it, right?
Yeah, the underground's going to buy it. They're already talking about it on GBA Temp. Like, they can't wait to get the pre-orders in.
Yeah, but for the point of hacking it, not to actually like have a nostalgia trip.
I don't know if everybody on there is going to go for the hack. Some of them might hoard them and then sell them high later on.
Yeah. Well, we got to move off this topic for the consideration of time here. So if you guys have anything else to say about this, hit us up on Twitter, 4GwQPodcast, or hit us up individually and let us know what you guys think. Are you pre-ordering one? Do you like the value? Do you think it's a great thing that they keep doing this? Or do you think they're kind of, holding back supply to make it rare and, kind of just generating some fake buzz? Let us know what you guys think. And
feel free to tweet at Assassin, at ZPC Assassin on Twitter about how much you love the Super NES Classic Mini Edition. Feel free.
And I'll respond with cool story, bro. Tell it again.
Wow.
And then proceed to retweet it at him.
Yep. Do it.
Okay. There's big old mute button too if it gets too spammy.
Wow, that's really not nice to our viewers. You know what I mean?
Well, some people, like, I'm not saying everyone, but there's that one person that is like spam, 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 and you're like, oh, please stop.
I'm gonna be that one.
Nice. All right, really quick. This is actually going to be way shorter topic than I anticipated, but in the interest of time, we have to move. So Xbox One X, it's a monster, right? But luckily, your game downloads won't have to be because if you're not an X owner, you're not going to be downloading 4K assets and ridiculous download sizes. This was confirmed by multiple sources that the Xbox One X will be the only console in the Xbox One lineup that will be downloading 4K assets and 4K textures and other patches that are related towards, that kind of, precision and performance. So Xbox One X, OG Xbox One, you're not going to have to download ridiculous file sizes. For instance, Forza 7 has been confirmed to be at just about 100 gigabytes on the Xbox One X. So that's going to take up a lot of your hard drive if you do not use half of that because you're not going to be playing 4K. So what do you guys think of this move? Because this is actually not how Sony does it. And not to keep bashing Sony, but this is one thing I don't like about them. I mean, I have a Pro, so I don't care. But I know, people that have PlayStation Vanillas that get updates for PS4 Pro patches for games that they don't have a Pro for, and they're never going to have a Pro. Sony just unloads the patches to everyone. It doesn't matter what you have. And those take up more room on your console. So when hard drive space is limited and you have to go and buy externals, that kind of sucks for people. They don't want to spend more than their buying cost. So what do you guys think about this news?
I don't think it's a big deal. I think if you want a game on 4K, and that's why you're getting the Xbox One X at launch, you need to expect bigger file size. I mean, you can't game in 4K and expect the same file size on a vanilla Xbox One.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about the One X when they announced that as a 1 terabyte hard drive. I was expecting at minimum 2. Honestly, for $500. Like if you were going to release a 1 terabyte one, I definitely thought it was going to be $399. But for $499, I think, people say, and it's an argument, people will say that everyone's buying externals these days, not a big deal. Expandable storage is easy to get. I mean, I bought a 4 terabyte external USB 3 hard drive for $100, for under $100 recently. So, I mean, the buying cost is not that high for externals anymore, but it is an additional cost. And when you're $500 to have more than a tenth, because you're gonna have to reserve some for the operating system and whatnot, for more than a tenth of the hard drive you're using on one game, and that's Forza 7. Who knows what Gears is gonna be? Who knows what the next Halo is gonna be? Who knows what Call of Duty is gonna be? Assassin's Creed. Yeah, who knows what all these games are gonna be? Any native 4K experience, any 1800p experience. Who knows what the size of these games are gonna be? So you're going to have only 10 games installed in your internal drive? That's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, just the huge games. I mean, not every game, this generation, like Tomb Raider, it's not 60 gigs, just on the Xbox itself. You were just seeing, Call of Duties, Forzas, Halos, Gears, Wolfenstein, Doom, those big games are going to be huge. And I'm not saying, Tomb Raider is not going to be huge. It's going to be huge, but it's not going to be 100 gigs. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be closer to 60 or something. Mm-hmm. And then those indies, obviously they're not going to be 100 gigs unless somehow this indie is just huge.
Right.
So they'll probably be a little, probably under, most indies are 3 gigs, 5 gigs sometimes. So they'll probably be 10 maybe even less.
Right. Taylor, what are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I'm spacing out a little bit.
Xbox One X won't have to, or the Xbox One S and the OG Xbox One will not have to download 4K updates.
I'm so freaking happy. I don't have a ton of room left on my Xbox to deal with that. So, I'm too broke to get an Xbox One X. There's too many games coming out.
Yeah,
I can't afford a One X at the same time.
Yeah, and a lot of people in your camp, Taylor, because like, you know, a lot of people are gonna, and even people that don't have an Xbox One are in your camp because they're saying, okay, I have money to buy a console. I don't have 500, but I have, you know, a few hundred, you know, $300 to buy something. You know, this holiday they're gonna be able to get an Xbox One S, which is still a very good console, or a PlayStation Vanilla, you know, whatever, or a PlayStation Slim, whatever. And that's gonna be $200, and they're gonna want to buy some games versus buying an Xbox One X and spending a ton of money. And Xbox, you're right in the chat. You just said it's premium. It's not for everyone. That's true. But I think this move kind of encourages people to still grab the older consoles because, you know, 50 versus 100 gigs. I mean, that's double the storage. Like Forza 7. Okay, for some reason my computer's making a lot of noise. Forza 7 being at 100 gigs, I doubt that's going to be anywhere close to 100 gigs on the Xbox One original. So, like, Taylor, you're right. I mean, you don't want to upgrade. You don't want to have to deal with updates for stuff you don't want to use. So why should you have to? And Microsoft's listening to that, and they're not going to push it out to everyone, which is really cool.
There's a couple of problems with this, though, to be honest with you, and that nobody's really thinking about. This is a little bit outside the box, and it's not to be negative on Xbox. It's not Xbox's fault anyway, but there's still people in this country that pay a la carte or, you know, have to worry about how much gigabytes or terabytes they use on their cable provider or ISP. Mm-hmm. So those people are going to get screwed when they're not intentionally downloading 4K assets.
Well, I mean, it's okay, yeah. So, yeah, if you're an Xbox One X owner, you're going to be hitting that cap really, really quickly. But luckily, if you're an OG one or you're an Xbox One S, you know, you're not gonna have to do that. Like, you're not gonna have to waste half of your data cap on nonsense that you're not even gonna use. So that's a good deal. That's a good thing.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, like if you think about the Midwest regions, a lot of them are still under, you know, limits.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like for example, Hayden. You know, if he was to get Xbox One X and he was downloading some games, he'd be flipping out on his cable provider at the end of the month when they cut him off or say, hey, you went over and now your downloads are slow. And then the other thing, too, that you got to think about, unless, you know, Microsoft has a deal with the FCC when net neutrality goes away, your speeds could be slowed dramatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, you know, a 100 gigabyte game, how long is that going to take to download? Like, legitimately a full day.
More than that, because I mean, they could slow your download to 7 kilobytes per second.
Yeah, so even just a full week, even maybe even more.
Yep.
Assassin, you were starting to say something, bud?
I was speaking of the data caps. I mean, even when I had the data caps on the shitty service called AT&T, my data cap would go way over, especially in the fall, and that's just on it was on the original Xbox One, not the S. So I mean, either you probably go over definitely on the X, but I mean, you'll still go over on the original. So, I mean, it's still going to be an issue.
You have to think about it though, Assassin. During that time period when you had that, how many games were we buying like every other week between the both of us?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it happened in the fall, definitely. But I mean, even during the summer, there was times where we weren't even like buying games. You know, maybe one or two. You know, maybe downloading the games with gold or free games, and it would just go over.
Yeah.
So I just hope that, you know, Microsoft has a good app in place on the Xbox One X where you can cut yourself off when you're getting close to your data cap. Maybe you can input it. You know, because like on the PC, you can do that. People on the PC can do that.
Right. Yeah. And even on phones, like my Android phone, I have a Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, and that phone you can say like, yo, if I'm hitting, I mean, I don't have a data cap anymore because I have Verizon Unlimited, but you know, if I did, I could say, you know what, like warn me at this and tell me to stop or stop me or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's the next logical step for sure on the Xbox One. You know, because more and more people in the U.S. are getting data caps. Like Comcast just announced at the end of last year that most of their fleet is going to data cap. So Massachusetts is just lucky, I guess. But a lot of people who have Comcast have data caps now.
So stupid.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But interesting, another quick point before we move off this topic is that I read in a couple of these articles about this topic that you're actually gonna. Microsoft is working on a way to not download everything associated with a game. Like you're gonna be able to, you're gonna potentially be able to select, like I'm an English speaker and I want English assets, and then you won't download the other languages. So that'll save you a few gigabytes here and there. So that's in the works, I guess, to make sure that you're not downloading ridiculous amounts of nonsense, on your Xbox One X especially. So that's kind of cool.
There should be a way to just download, like for Call of Duty, for instance, not to download like the campaign and then just have the multiplayer, because that's what everyone plays. So like, I feel like they should have that option, or try to figure out an option.
Yeah, I mean they've done that before. I mean they haven't done that specifically, but they've had the option of which to download first, So maybe they can do that. PlayStation has that. 360 had that before too. If you were downloading stuff, you could select that. Just very, very specific games. But yeah, they could do that for sure. All right, we gotta move on. If you have any more thoughts about this, people, definitely hit us up. Twitter, all the usual channels. Hit us up in the comment section. We'll get to those, of course. All right, really quick. I feel like we're going to fly through this topic in the interest of time, but I feel like we could do a whole podcast on this topic. So PUBG is potentially going to get some cross-platform play. So PUBG, if you don't know, you're living under a rock. Very much like Hunger Games, you drop in, parachute onto an open world. You scavenge for items. You are pitted against 99 other people, and you want to kill them and survive and be the last one. So that's kind of like a summary of the game really quick. So the company who makes this, Bluehole is the name of it. Their executive producer, Chang Han Kim, I think is how you pronounce it. If I didn't pronounce that right, I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. He says we want crossplay, but there are obstacles, and it's technically very easy to do. Actually, it's not very hard to do technically, but of course, there's balancing issues with keyboard and mouse and controller. So I guess they're looking into and working on some aim assist, some easier ways to use the inventory and stuff like that based on the controller. Kind of like what Neverwinter did back in the day. Kind of like what Taylor's favorite game, Smite, does, where using multiple controller button combinations that make controller counterparts very easy to do on console. So they're looking into that. They're trying to fix that issue because they want to do this to make the player base, substantial, extremely substantial. Already 4 million sales, and it's only been out for 3 months in early access, and that's just gonna like double or triple once it comes out to Xbox. At that point, I'm sure it'll have already doubled, and then probably another 4 million or so on Xbox. But what do you guys think about this? I know you guys are kind of divided from talking to you over the week, but what do you guys think?
It's a great idea, except they have to get down the keyboard, mouse versus controller. Even if Microsoft adds keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox, I know they've said something about that in the past. And then that inventory thing is huge to get down right, because there's a lot of games like 7 Days to Die or Ark where the game just is bad for a controller at certain parts. And it's gonna hurt you, especially in like a firefight, because you have to use bandages and maybe grab some ammo and drop it for your teammates, or other things, and it's a few seconds is life or death basically. So
right. And they're just gonna have to work on the multiple button presses like they have in Smite or Paragon or Neverwinter. They're gonna have to work on macros essentially. But Taylor are clowns on this?
I mean, I got a whole crap load of issues.
No, I know, but we need a summary.
I don't think the keyboard and mouse is the biggest issue. I think, man, I don't know if it's a great idea for crossplay with PC on this one. I just think that there's a lot of PC players that are really good at this game, and it's nothing against them. I just think that they're experienced, and a lot of people on Xbox One, maybe they play it on PC, yeah, they'll be okay, but then, you know, for us FPSers with controller, like keyboard and mouse, like Assassin, he might get frustrated when he knows he shot somebody, but they move faster than him because they just hit sideways on the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
He might be like, "Oh man, you son of a bitch!" You know, he might get mad and throw his controller and break his TV. So,
I'm not going to throw my controller and break my TV.
No, you're not going to do this.
No, since I don't have a replacement TV. Well, I have a replacement TV, but it's small as fuck. So.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. That
Yeah.
would be good. You know, I tend to agree with you, clowns, to be honest. I don't think the keyboard and mouse versus controller thing for aiming or for any of the, you know, traditional first-person shooter console versus control versus PC. I don't think that argument is really too big of a deal on PUBG, coming from playing it a bunch and checking it out at E3 as well, where they had it playable with controllers. I don't think it was really that big of a deal. I thought the aiming was perfectly fine, to be honest. It's really like the other things you said, the movement, the inventory, that management stuff obviously is not nearly as streamlined as it is on PC, and that's what I think they have to get down. I think we'll get into it in a second, clowns, but I think the stuff that you've kind of been mentioning during the week about you know, the optimization of the game and stuff that PC people can do that Xbox people can't do to increase you know, frame rate, stuttering, decrease issues, stuff like that. I think that's actually a way bigger deal now that I've looked into that a bit. But before we get into that, I want to hear what Taylor thinks, just basically on this whole thing. Is this a big deal, or do you think it's a bad idea, Taylor?
It's a good idea in concept, but they're gonna have a hard time executing it so that it's fair. Because, again, like you guys said, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's just gonna be the same thing with the inventory. The only thing that's really gonna be the same is aiming.
Mm-hmm. So, you're a big Smite player. You're familiar with all the button presses and all that crazy stuff, and you've obviously gotten used to that. So I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I may not know. But I just want to ask you, if there was crossplay on Smite between Xbox One and PC, do you think it would be unfair, or do you think it would be all right?
Honestly, I think it'd be unfair just because of how the servers run. Because I've played PC and I've played Xbox, and the Xbox servers are always much slower.
Gotcha. So it's like the back end. It's not even the inputs. It's not even like the player thing. It's just the back end.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. So that kind of segues perfectly into what I was just getting into with clowns. That clowns kind of brought up to me. Is that apparently, you know, everyone knows this is in early access, so that's not a secret. But you know, by the time it comes out on Xbox, there could be a fix for this, or there could not be. But there's been a lot of memory leak problems, like significant amount of memory leak problems. Like if you don't have 16 gigabytes of memory on your computer, and you're trying to play this in like in some sort of respectable frame rate and or resolution, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time because there's a lot in its current state. And granted, it's only been 3 months, but there is a lot of bad memory leak, and there's things that people are doing on Steam, like Steam console commands for launching the game and managing, you know, some of the parameters of how the game runs. That they've been able to fix that, and get an advantage on other PC people. So there's kind of like this advantage certain PC players versus other PC players just because they know how to run some commands and stuff. But clowns, maybe you can kind of get into that a little bit more, just really quick.
Yeah, I mean, on the PC right now, what people are doing, even if you got like 8 gigs and a nice graphics card, you're still running into issues. The problem is that the game leaks memory, and it leaks a lot of memory. At 8 gigs of RAM, some people are leaking up to 45% additional memory, crashing other resources on the system. So they're using launch commands to use all available cores in the processors, which seems to work great with Intel, but not so good with AMD. As of right now, they're recommending 16 gigs of RAM and, you know, a decent graphics card, just because even outside the memory leaks, you're having issues with textures loading and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't tell. Is that Taylor's mic?
Yeah, Taylor,
who's
what
mic?
are you doing right now?
Trying not to pass out.
Oh, okay.
That might be why.
Oh, that may
My
be
mic keeps hitting like the comforter on my bed. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, and you know what? It's a good point that you brought this up, Clowns, or that you elaborate on this, because the Xbox One doesn't have 16 gigs of memory, and so it has 12 usable for games. Is going to be like around 8 or 9, depending on the situation. And so you're kind of falling into dangerous territory unless they figure out this memory leak issue, which there's some games that launch that don't figure that thing out. So it's a serious issue that people have to address. And it's not like on PC where people can just run these commands before launching the game. So like what Taylor kind of suggested too, it kind of goes full circle here with Smite, is that, there could be some back-end related issues that make it unfair to have crossplay separate from the whole keyboard and mouse versus controller issue. I mean, this guy Chang Han Kim, the executive producer over at Bluehole Games, whatever, he said technically it's easy to do. Yeah, it's easy to probably match up those two those two gamers in the same server against each other, but certain PC players have, and maybe this is true for all games, but this one's in the limelight, so we're going to talk about it here, is that, people have more control on PC to modify how they run the game, and not even just frame rate or resolution or, ambient occlusion or anti-aliasing or like all that crazy shit, but just like how the game actually launches and runs on their computer from a technical engineering standpoint. People have that kind of fine control on PC, so that could be a problem. That could be a bigger problem than the keyboard and mouse thing.
I think the biggest issue that we're going to see with the Xbox One X, if this isn't patched, if somebody from Microsoft engineering doesn't come down to their office and say, hey guys, pass these memory leaks before we launch an Xbox One X, the problem is going to be that Xbox One and Xbox One X and all these systems, they have background apps always running, and Windows is notorious for already using more memory resources than, let's say, like Linux or another operating system. So you got this game loading in. We got 12 gigabytes of RAM available for games on demand, right? So that's there, and all of a sudden, if at 8 gigs there's an extra 45% leak. So let's say at 12 gigs there's an extra, even like 30% leak. And then all of a sudden you got Skype in the background, you got something else in the background. You can crash this possibly, really relatively quickly. And then, you just go a little bit further out, and this is just because I have a little bit of knowledge in electronics, but somebody could potentially do a buffer overflow exploit. If something's not properly patched, like Skype message pops up, bam, buffer overflow exploit, anything like that. And then you could just run arbitrary commands. So I hope Xbox really looks into this, finds a way to get this fixed before it launches on Xbox One X. And, I know a lot of Microsoft has always patched their stuff relatively quickly nowadays. So let's hope that they're just prepared for this possibility.
Yeah, even though this is, they're going to advertise this as early access, so they're going to kind of cover their ass in terms of technical problems that people will have with crashing and whatnot. But, I mean, this has been done before where people exploit stuff like this, these memory leaks, these buffer overflows to run altered software. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the Xbox One to the Wii, but I mean, the first exploit on the original Wii system was that buffer overflow on Twilight Princess. I mean, it's the same exact thing.
Load up that save. Yeah, I mean, the original Xbox had one with Mecha Salt, where you could soft mod it with Unleash X or Evo X or whatever it was called back then. 360 had the JTAG issue, which required more knowledge, but the reset glitch hack was the biggest one that used, exploits similar to something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ross Miller says in the YouTube chat, Ross Miller, you kind of answered your question earlier. He says, how will it ever pass certification? Well, look at these other games like Conan Exiles, you just mentioned, Friday the 13th, huge memory leaks, Dungeon Defenders, huge memory leaks. These games that we just mentioned, Twilight Princess, Mecha Salt, these games all pass cert. These kind of things get passed because, they don't want to hold games back over things that they think are kind of silly. Like PUBG, if they delay PUBG on Xbox because of something like memory leak. Even though it's still playable, people would probably laugh in their faces. But there are people out there that can exploit that, so they need to be careful.
I mean, think about this too. How big was the user base you said for PUBG?
Yeah, like 4 million people already. Yeah,
4 million people, and that's PC players.
Right.
And a lot of those guys, I mean, they've been banning like 30% of some of their user base just for cheating online. So you can figure that maybe out of the 30%, maybe 15% are real hackers, and the other 15% are script kiddies.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. Like the 15%, maybe 5% of them own Xbox One X, and they got a new hobby to work on just for fun, not because they're going to benefit from it, just because they're bored and they want to do something.
Right. Yeah, and so I kind of think that this is all gonna be fixed by November. I mean, well, I'm saying November. I don't really know, but they said late 2017. I'm just guessing November when it comes out to the Xbox One X. So I mean, this could be a moot point, but at this point in time, so I kind of tend to agree with Taylor on this. Is that, and with Clowns, is that the problem may not even be keyboard and mouse. It may be all this other technical stuff that a lot of people don't even understand or care about, but they probably should. Assassin, sorry, I don't agree with you on the keyboard and mouse thing, but just for this game, a lot of other games I do agree, but this one, not so much. I still love you though.
No.
Get wrecked, Assassin. Or not Assassin. Inferno.
No.
Get wrecked.
I'm just,
All right, anything
so
more?
out of it.
Anything more about this PUBG thing before we move on?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
All right, we move on so that Taylor can get closer to sleeping the sickness away.
No, I'm just gonna drown myself in the shower.
Oh, there you go. All right, real quick, because we don't really know a ton about this. We'll definitely cover this more in the future, but Assassin's Creed Rebellion, this kind of thing. I don't know if this is leaked. I don't think this is leaked. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to call this. Let's call it leaked, because there is leaked footage that kind of like suggests what the game is going to be about. So it's made by Behavior Interactive, which is the same creator of Fallout Shelter, and it's kind of like base gameplay, just like Fallout Shelter. So for all intents and purposes, we can call this for right now a Fallout Shelter copy off. By the same creators, though, so it's fair game. Set in the Assassin's Creed realm. You're going to be able to play a bunch of your favorite Assassin's Creed people. It's in the same time period and realm, I guess, as the Assassin's Creed movies. So think of playing as Michael Fassbender. But you can also play as Ezio. Like, there'll be other characters you can control. It's not just one assassin, if you will. But yeah, I know Taylor and Assassin, you guys are probably the biggest Assassin's Creed fans. So what did you guys think about this?
I'm excited for it. I loved playing Fallout Shelter. I only deleted it because my phone couldn't hold any more memory. And I wasn't going to delete any of my music, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people still play Fallout Shelter. I think that's still a huge game. And I think that came to... Xbox One, right, as a Windows 10 app, and people are playing it on there.
Yep.
So, I mean...
Yeah, Cameron plays it on there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still into that. So, I think the next logical step was for them to make another game like that, and a very popular franchise such as Assassin's Creed. Assassin, thoughts?
I don't know. It's one of those games, like, I kind of have to see for myself, either, videos or actually playing it. Just from, like, looking at it, it just looks, like, all right. I don't know.
You don't think it looks as good as Fallout Shelter? Because I don't play Fallout Shelter, because I can't even comment on this. But
from just, like, this picture, it's... Nah.
Well, there is gameplay out there, so you can look that up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
The gameplay looks a lot better than what Fallout Shelters is.
Really? Okay. Interesting. That's interesting, because Fallout Shelter, people swear by that gameplay. So if it's even better than that, maybe this could even surpass that. Because Fallout...
It just looks more, like, complex, I guess.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I've heard Fallout Shelter is pretty repetitive. I'm just not into those games, those survival games, Shelter-like games, so I can't get into that. But I've heard it's kind of repetitive.
A little bit.
Clowns, thoughts on this really quick?
As a bigger Assassin's Creed fan than Assassin, I will say that cool, because every time we play the old Assassin's Creed stuff, he's like, the Italians. The Italians.
The Italians.
The way he says it. But, you
It's
know,
like a normal person.
Italian? Instead of
Yeah,
Italian?
That's what I said.
No. The images they use so far just to promote it, like what you grabbed there, reminds of like that 1980s Christmas special with the elves and Santa Claus. I don't know if you remember that. And then Mad TV made fun of it, and you had like a snowman shooting people with a Tommy gun.
I do remember that. Yes.
So I feel like this is going to open up into a Christmas special with like the wise men and the kings and stuff.
Yeah, the art style. I'm not really feeling the art style. I mean, it's cute or whatever, but I mean, I think it's cool that you can play as, you know, the famous assassins. You know what I mean? You don't have to just play as you know, Ezio or Aguilar or whatever his name is. I think that was the name of the guy that Michael Fassbender played. Could be wrong.
Who's the dwarf? That guy looks more like a dwarf than from Assassin's Creed. I remember.
He does look like a dwarf. He kind of looks like that guy from Overwatch. What's his name? Torbjorn?
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Any more thoughts on this before we move on? I mean, we don't really have a lot to say because it isn't out, or it's even. I don't think it's even like officially a thing yet. I mean, it's not out. It's not. There's no release date. Like,
It was on the Ubisoft channel.
is it really? Maybe it is. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did officially announce it.
Oh,
I saw like
okay.
something on
It's
Twitter.
like an official teaser trailer.
Oh, okay. So it is officially announced. I'm just wrong on that. But, was there a release date in that trailer? Because I couldn't find a release date on all the things.
I didn't see one.
I mean, you know, maybe it's good. They recoup some money from this with microtransactions for people that don't want to play the Flying Eagle Simulator in Egypt.
Dude,
you know,
that game's gonna be. You're a hater. That game's gonna be huge. That game is gonna be really good.
If it was the Romans, I'd play it, but Egyptians.
How dare you? Egypt is awesome.
How long did the Egyptian civilization last? Cleopatra was like born and dead very quickly.
Just like that. She was born and then she got stabbed.
Didn't she die by like the age of like 25?
Yes, because the Romans killed her.
Yeah, because the Romans were superior.
Yeah, here we go.
And how well did that turn out for them?
All right, we'll move on. When we get more info about this, we'll definitely cover that game again because all things Assassin's Creed are just amazing at this point in time. Anyway, all right, so we've got games with gold versus PlayStation Plus. We don't do this every month, but we decided to do it this month. So yeah, games with gold, Assassin. I know you weren't a huge fan of games with gold, and this month they're Grow Home on Xbox One, and they are what else? Runbow, which has been out for a while on the Wii U. For the 360, Kane Lynch 2, and Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. So Assassin, you're not a huge fan of this lineup?
Just Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I think that's the star as well. I really do. Grow Home, wasn't impressed with that. Runbow is essentially a worse version of the game that was out last month, Speedrunners. I mean, Runbow is good. I mean, it's 8 players, cutesy. It's more approachable for children than Speedrunners. But I think Speedrunners is the better version of those games, to be honest. And Kane Lynch 2, I mean, I never played any of the Kane Lynch games, but my understanding was the second one is significantly worse than the first. Taylor
Who
or
made that game? Sorry.
Kane Lynch 2?
Yeah.
Was that THQ? Lynch 2. Dude, I never played a Kane Lynch game at all. Oh, that
I'll
was
tell
EDOS.
you what.
That was EDOS. IO Interactive and EDOS.
I'll tell you what. J Street brought up a good point. At least there's no Dishonored in this.
Stop. Stop.
Good point. This is probably a better game with gold than I originally thought.
Wow.
Hate. I just hate.
I might have to renew my Xbox Gold now.
Excuse me, you still have Xbox Gold. Get real.
It runs out in the middle of next month.
Wow. Cutting it close.
Yeah.
Also, Cleopatra was 39 when she died.
Oh shit!
Not 25.
15 years longer.
Hey, you can do a lot in 15 years.
You could.
Maybe.
Write a book. You could swim across an ocean.
Okay, don't
You
be
could
ridiculous.
have sexual relations with a bunch of people. I don't know.
Oh, okay, good. This is getting.
What?
This is getting-
Yeah, it's a little bit too much, Saz. We don't even know what's going on in
You
your
could
life.
plant a garden, build a few pyramids. I mean,
Maybe build a few.
become a
pyramids,
mummy, and then raise maybe a few dead.
What?
Egypt is better than the Romans. That's all I'm saying.
Wow, what a shot, huh? What a
Yeah,
shot at us
stay
Italians.
fast.
What
Well,
a
you
shot
know-
at us Italians.
Cleopatra fell in love with the Roman, so I don't.
This is true.
She didn't love him. She went after him for power.
Yeah,
Ooh.
sure. That worked out in her favor.
Nice.
Did for a while.
All right, Taylor. Games
Fight
with gold
with
this month.
Egypt.
What?
Fight me on Egypt.
Wow. She doesn't take any shit about Egypt, ladies and gentlemen. Games with gold this month, Taylor. What do you think? Interested?
Not really.
Hold on, somebody typed in the Twitch chat. I want to respond to them. Oh, Clowns already did it. Wow, Clowns is like Mr. Fingers tonight on the keyboard. He's been responding to all the chats really quickly. All right, so that's the games with gold. So for PlayStation Plus, I think we're all going to vote for PlayStation Plus this month. So let me just say really quick. Until Dawn, I mean, that's a AAA game. That was a pretty decently big game for Sony, and I'm really shocked that they're giving this away next month. The whole Game of Thrones Telltale series, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Yeah. Imagine if it was just episode 1 when it's ready free.
Yeah, right. That would be hilarious. So yeah, the whole Telltale Game of Thrones series, which some people say is terrible. Assassin loves it. And then this game, That's You, which I don't really know a ton about, but I've heard it's pretty much worthless from people that are in the know. But I could be wrong. I just may not be a fan of that, and I just don't know much about it, so I'm not going to pretend I do. What do you guys think about PlayStation Plus this month?
I think PlayStation Plus is better than Deals with Gold. I mean, who wants to play Grow Up? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
grow up.
Is it Grow
Yeah.
Up or Grow Home? Which one is
It's
it?
Grow
Grow
Up.
up.
Oh, it's Grow Up.
That's
Oh.
something Assassin heard all his life because he's a millennial.
Same.
And then Runbow, it doesn't look like it really belongs on Xbox, but I'm not going to say that just because they need games. Kane Lynch 2, no, definitely not. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean is the best one on the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pick that up at Walmart for like $12 right now. So why spend the money on Xbox Live if you just go buy that
Because you
game?
can't play multiplayer without it.
Yeah, but you don't need that for a Lego game. And then
And what if you want to play with your buddies? It's multiplayer.
Couch co-op, son.
renew yours, Assassin. So we have it. But PS Plus, I mean, like Until Dawn, that's pretty good because I picked that up for like $10. So you're getting your money there. Games with Throne was fantastic from Telltale. That's You. I don't have a clue, but here's one game that we're missing, and we need to bring it up because it's just really cool. And some of the stuff is some of the Vita stuff in this PS Plus is cross-buy with PS4. So there's a couple. Yeah, there's a Vita game that's cross-buy, but the best one out of the PlayStation has that's not in our pictures is Dark Stalker's Resurrection. For PS.
Stupid.
I will go buy a PS3 just for that.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus, like, some people just think it's PlayStation 4 games. I mean, they kind of do the same thing Xbox does with they have PlayStation 3 and Vita games. So, there's some goodies in there every once in a while. But yeah, everyone thinks PlayStation Plus games are better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Runbow is just... Clowns, you know what? I 100% agree with you on that. Runbow is a speedrunners for like a Wii console. And as a matter of fact, I met the guys who made this game at PAX a couple years ago, and they developed it for Wii U, not for Xbox One. Or
Yeah.
PlayStation 4, so they did not develop it for Xbox. All right, moving on then. Let us know if you agree with us. The PlayStation Plus won this month, or for July. Let us know in the comments or on Twitter or however you want to let us know. Definitely let us know. All right, really quick run through of the weird news of the week. First up, we've got Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC, which comes out extremely soon. I believe it comes out this week or next, actually. The first DLC pack for the Breath of the Wild. The first expansion, the real expansion pass. On the Nintendo Switch, it is 456 megabytes, and on the Wii U, it is 3.6 gigs. So it is 8 times bigger, almost, on the Wii U than the Nintendo Switch. Now, what the hell is that all about?
What in the heck?
Does that not make? I mean, does that even make sense?
Why? No. Why is it so much bigger?
You know, who's to say that Nintendo's not going to try to patch the Wii U exploits? One last final blow to the community, the underground community. That 3.7 gigabyte, there could be a lot hidden behind that.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine if the whole reason it is that size is because they have they're patching exploits and they're like tricking people into updating their game?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, because, you know, in the underground community, there were forum posts, and this was picked up by like IGN and other sites, so I'll say it. But when Zelda Breath of the Wild launched on the Wii U, there was an exploit where you could get the game on custom firmware. And what happened was when you went to update the game, it broke the exploit. So you would have to go to an underground site, update the game with like a title updater, and then rerun the game. Because Nintendo broke the exploit. So this could be them trying to do it again. I mean, it's smart. If I was Nintendo, why not? There's nothing else really coming out for the Wii U. Why not one final hurrah?
It's true. Could be. Or it could be what Ross Miller says in the YouTube chat, which I tend to agree with a little bit more, no offense, clowns, is that apparently Ross says that he's heard that the Switch can read compressed images and files and the Wii U cannot read compressed images and files.
Well, there's some truth to that because you can, if you go in the underground forums once again, you can compress GameCube files to work on the Wii U.
Okay, so maybe that's not true. That sounded like a more reasonable explanation than the patching of the exploits thing, which is not totally unreasonable. I mean, Nintendo is, has been facing this problem for a while, and anything they can do to fight it, I'm sure they would. But, yeah, who knows? Who knows if the compression is the reason or if it's the exploits or what it is. But it doesn't make, whatever it is, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that it's 8 times the size. Assassin, thoughts on this really quick?
No, I really have nothing to say.
Wow, you just hate Nintendo, bro. You just absolutely...
No, I'm not hating on Nintendo. It just... I don't know. I have nothing to say.
Unbelievable. All right. Moving on then to something that makes no sense to something that makes too much sense, actually. So we'll end the show with this weird news of the week. Dead or Alive Extreme VR in Japan is coming to some amusement parks or something of the like. So Tecmo has created a new version of the VR version of this game because it is on PSVR. There is a VR version. But now it is going to be in these things, and let me make sure I'm saying this right. It is in amusement facilities that are loosely translated as VR Sense. And in these pods, okay, you actually get put in a pod. You get to experience stuff like the smells and the feels and not just visuals. And so I guess in this new Dead or Alive version, you'll be able to smell the women and you'll be able to feel splashes from the water and their sweat and stuff like this. And this is a real thing. This is not complete. This is not made up. You can Google this. This is actual. This is factual.
Don't.
Somebody named Clowns predicted this on 4GwQ that VR would come eventually with smells and all that other stuff. You remember that? Like 6 or 7 months ago.
Perfect to test this. Go and have fun. Smell some women. Feel their sweats.
Now the thing that's interesting about this, is that because it involves like so much tech, right? It has to be at like amusement parks or like public things like arcades and stuff. You're not gonna like get this to your home, like this poor old man here. It seems like in this tuxedo, in this suit jacket. You're not gonna be able to like just get this on a like Galaxy S phone or something and be able to experience this. You need to go in this pod or whatever, right? And apparently, this pod is close to everything. It's completely close to daylight, so it's more immersive. And apparently, you can do whatever you want in these pods.
Oh, God.
So apparently, they've already had some problems with a little bit of cleaning up to do.
You think?
Oh my God. Well, something tells me I'm not, surprised at this, because there's some people that I feel like could go outside a little more, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay.
And mingle with the females and
Actual human.
yeah, and
well,
yeah.
know, and I'm also thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, this is obviously going to be all men trying this, I'm assuming. I mean, if it's not all men, it's like 99 to 1 out of every 100. And so all these grown men are going to be standing in line together for this experience at an amusement park. What do you say to the guy in line? Do you just like keep it to yourself, or like you just like, oh, I hope I get a good beat in today? Like, what do you?
Did you bring some extra tissues? I forgot mine.
I forgot my pack of tissues, bro. Like, oh, I hope this is a really good ride. Like, the wait's an hour and a half. I have to be 4'6" from the waist down. Like, what do you? Like,
I can see the Red Cross hand out like hand sanitizer to everybody.
Hopefully no one slips and falls.
Oh my God.
Right, because I mean, there's supposed to be. I mean, not only
Sim, that's gross. Sorry, Sim just posted something in chat.
Bring a black light.
Imagine bringing a black light in there. Well, I'm assuming they're gonna have to like sanitize, and they're gonna use a black light. I wouldn't want to have that job. I mean, that must be one of the worst jobs. Cleaning up after that. Not only is it the splashing from the game, because you feel the splashing from the game or whatever. That's part of the experience. But the bodily fluids, of course, as we're suggesting. Ross Miller says, "Get him a wet wipe."
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's somebody who has influence or money is going to say, "Hey, son, go in there, touch everything, and then touch your eye. When you come out, we'll go see a doctor and a lawyer."
That's interesting. That's interesting, Klaus. That's an interesting angle. Like, are you going to have to sign a waiver to do this? I'm guessing you are. To relinquish all your legal rights. Like, what if the man, this is really bad, but I'm going to go with it. What if
Please no.
Go with it.
What if
conjunctivitis in the eye?
No. What if you're one of those people, like Assassin suggested, that doesn't really get out of the house much and never has experienced something like this, if you know what I mean? And they go and they experience that something like this for the first time, and some sort of medical issue happens from excitement. Like, I mean, it's supposed to be really lifelike. I mean, that's the whole point, right? You get the smells of the women and the feel of this.
Why would you want to? Yeah, why would you want to go up to someone that is? It's clearly in summer. They've been doing stuff. It's hot out, and they're gonna smell like. I'm sorry, they're gonna probably smell like shit.
Well, I hate to tell you this. There's gonna be people that are pulling pranks on us too. They're gonna walk in there and leave dead fish lying around. So it's gonna ruin your experience.
Wow. Dude, you know why this all, I guess, happened and why people are, like, talking about this? Not only for the obvious, but because, I guess, back a while ago when this first launched for PSVR, there's a video online of a guy who, like, got on his knees and, like, crawled, like, got low to crawl, like, up a woman's ass. Like,
oh, my God.
Wow, that is just pathetic. I'm sorry, but that is pathetic.
I mean, I haven't seen such video, but a couple of different articles when I was reading up on this topic all mention that. Some Japanese guy like just got on his knees and tried to like crawl up one of the girls' asses in this game. So I don't know.
It's terrible.
J Street says they high five each other when they come out of the pod.
Oh my
Jesus.
Well, depending on what Ron Miller said, feel someone else's splashes on your face.
Immersion. He says immersion. Oh my god. All right, Taylor, you have been kind of silent about this, and you're the only female here, so I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Why? Why is this the thing?
You know why.
Stop it!
Well, it's just gonna get worse.
This should not be at an amusement park of all places.
Well, people are getting their amusement out of it.
I'm gonna say this.
No, you buy your own pod and you do this at home.
I will never buy a PlayStation VR if they bring this to like movies like Magic Mike, because my wife will watch that.
Oh man, I don't. Maybe they'll have a game with guys that is like this. I don't know.
Oh god.
No.
I guess Assassin be lining up for that.
Fuck no.
Dude, I'm sorry. Once like Pornhub and the porn industry hears about this technology, they're gonna be all in on this. I mean, come on.
But an earlier version of this was not too far off at Disney World. When you went to Disney, the Shrek ride, they had like when the spiders came down the screen, they had those little things come out and touch your feet, and then they had this smell in the air, like the fragrance and stuff. So I mean, the technology was there. They just need to wait to implement it with VR.
Right. And for an experience like this, like, the text there, it's probably really refined. Like it probably, I mean, I'm not one to know how a dead or alive player would smell, but it probably is really accurate.
Well, I just hope that when Assassin tests us out for us, he goes with little Turtle Boy.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Maybe Turtle will try this, but Assassin's too cheap. I bet you this costs like $50. Like, how much do you think this costs to do this? It's not like a token or two. Like, Christ. I mean, this is going to be a full blown, like 50.
Little Turtle Boy would probably pay for Assassin to go after him. After him is a key word.
Wow.
Oh, my Lord. Please stop. Can we stop this conversation?
Yes, we're done. Assassin, before we end this, do you have any more thoughts about this?
Dad's just cracked me up in the chat.
If you hear a massive crashes, Assassin with that oil. Wow, Jesus. Okay.
Oh my god.
Wow.
We're done. We're done with this topic. We're done. We're done. All right, and that's pretty much it for what I had. Assassin, you have something else?
Oh yeah, if you're a Battlefield 1 player and you hate the new Battle Pack system, go yell at the devs at DICE. So yeah. Yes,
we may get into that next week in a little more detail, but there's a new way to get battle packs in Battlefield 1, and it sucks from what I've heard. I got to experience it myself. I'll probably play after the podcast, but apparently Assassin and Clowns, you guys played it, and it takes a really long time now to get a battle pack.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, not only did we complain, but Boogie complained, and other people with us were not happy about the new system. It's just terrible. I mean, it doesn't even really matter how much XP you get. Almost like you still get the same amount of bar towards the battle pack. And it's just a greedy version of them to try and push you to buy microtransactions. At least Treyarch's doing double XP right now.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I like to say that the Battlefield games are always an open canvas and they're constantly improving and changing things, but it looks like they kind of fucked this one up and they're going to have to... It was perfect. It's perfect for Treyarch to come in and Activision to come in and kind of like capitalize on this because I know a lot of people are hating it, so... yeah. But we'll get into that in a little more detail in a later show, but... I think everybody's kind of done after that last topic. So we want to thank everyone for coming to watch the show. We were live on all 3 platforms. It looked like it worked out, so we're going to keep doing that in the future. If you were in the chat, thank you. The chat was pretty active today on YouTube especially. Beam, a few people poked in. A couple people followed, so thank you for following. If you guys are new subscribers, welcome. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you do if you like the episode, and please like the video if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, let us know in the comments what you need us to change or want us to change, and we will 100% consider that for sure for the next upcoming episodes.
And if you know of any Dead or Alive sales, send a message to Assassin.
Yeah, if anyone can get a price on that, like if anyone's knows Japanese and can read that up on that stuff and get a price on that, please let us know how much that thing costs, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be expensive. I mean, I don't anticipate you like trading your tickets for a ride in that thing. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Virtual Cop was 4 quarters when that launched in arcades, like the selected arcades when they're showing the technology off.
Hey, what would 4 quarters be today? That'd probably be like shit. That'd probably like $5 at least with inflation.
Yeah, probably. Probably right.
But yeah, so definitely hit us up on all of our various channels. Obviously, Beam, Twitch, YouTube. Search 4GwQPodcast. Follow us on those. We'll be streaming a lot more in the upcoming, days, weeks, months. We're getting more active on that. We're gonna do some like Jackbox once a week, I think, on our channel. So look out for that. Hit us up on Facebook, 4GwQPodcast. I think we're finally going to start getting that going again. And our website, 4GwQPodcast.com. Go find our articles, news, giveaways, etc. And back episodes as well. If you are interested, we'd love for you to go over and check that out. So yeah, that's.
I think Shanzu was trying to ask, is the Boston Hammer going to try it out?
Oh, am I going to try out that Dead or Alive thing?
Lord.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if the price were right, I may give it a try. I mean, I don't know if I'd give it a beat, but I'd give it a try. I mean,
Al definitely would.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I'm actually going to tell Al about this. He probably doesn't even know. I'm going to tell him about this, and he probably will go gangbusters. He'll probably fly to Japan for this.
Yeah. I'll buy a plane ticket immediately.
Probably. All right. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Send assassin messages.
Sorry if you only were there for the last 10 minutes.